Welcome back to HGG. We've got plenty more Hearthstone for you today, and no, Sottle has not aged a few years. I am joined by Lorinda for this cast as a special treat for you guys at home. Lorinda, when was the last time we cast together? It was only... Did we cast together in Italy?
We didn't. Yes, we did.
Did we? I think once.
This is how good we are at this.
It wasn't too long ago, but most importantly, let's talk about the match we are going to cast first. It's going to be Czech Republic versus Indonesia. And I kind of mentioned earlier today to you guys that today's Global Games matches are very much the sort of David versus Goliath style, because again, Indonesia had a great run and actually took down
Norway.
Where did they go? Yeah, they took down Norway. We just saw them on camera, yeah. So they took down Norway last week, and then Czech Republic had a great win as well. So it's a pretty big deal for Indonesia. If they can take down Czech Republic, tick those two teams, off the calendar, so to speak, then that means they're looking really, really good going forward.
Yeah, and if you've beaten those two teams, who can't you beat? Who are you scared of at that
exactly.
point? Like, you beat the champions, you beat the team that I think might be the favourite for it.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Their foray into this tournament is going to be insane if they just start off 2-0 against those two decks. Czech did beat Canada last week as well, 3-1. Hurt me a little bit, as Canada is one of my predictions.
Korea's both your predictions.
Yeah, I would pick Korea twice if I could and just get double points. I'd be pretty happy with that. But let's look at these teams. Lorinda, master of all player knowledge. Who are we looking at here?
Let's start with Indonesia, shall we? Resdan, Duahu, Joth, and Nextop. They have played a lot of Hearthstone in tour stops over the last sort of 8 months or so, as well as most of these were together last year. They're in the sort of 55% win rate category, which isn't quite good enough to compete with the best. You're looking at 65, maybe even 70 to compete with the best players in the world. So 55, a little bit off the pace, but it's not terrible. And when you play that much, you do build up that experience, which is a very big deal as well.
Yeah, it is, the tour stops happen all year. It is effectively a circuit, right, as we look at some of the lovely views of Czech Republic and Indonesia as well. Two very different countries in terms of architecture, at least. Czech Republic, very, very, very sort of European-style buildings. But overall, when you're working on getting better as a player, it's not something that happens in a week or two or 10 or even 50. It's something that a lot of these best players we've seen, especially this year, have been working on it for 1-2 years beforehand. Look at players like Viper, like Bunny Hopper. Yes, they had some success early on, but they've still been grinding out the game over a few years to be able to just get to the point they're at now.
Well, I feel that a few of these smaller countries, in terms of Hearthstone terms at least, like Indonesia, got a lot out of last year's event. It's like, hey, we can root for our team, let's play this, let's do it ourselves. And I think they're building on it with these, like I say, sort of 55% results and over a lot of matchups. That will pick up.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. But let's take a look at the picks and bans and see how they've lined out. And if they're perfect for one team or another, we see Druid and Shaman banned out first. So, yeah, the very standard opening of bans from both teams here. But then the Shaman and Warrior pickups first, and then the Druid and Mage picks second. So let's check it out. Indonesia's Mage is Aggro Mage. So what do you make of that early pick of the Aggro Mage, Lorinda?
I feel that Aggro Mage this week, we've seen quite a few teams bring it. Last week is basically all Control Mage, give or take. And I feel that's a good reaction to what happened last week with all these slower decks. Whereas Aggro Mage can get under there, it can kill you before you really get established. So yeah, they obviously wanted it as well, like picking it that early.
Exactly.
It's like let's try and aggro the opponents down.
It's one of the things we discussed there last week at the very beginning of the format is because there's so many bans available. We can take a look at the matchups as well, see how it's actually going to lay out. But once so many bans are available to you, the weird decks start becoming good, right? Because Aggro Mage, on paper, in the whole meta, is not that good right now. But when you can remove 4 decks from your opponent and say, well, okay, we're not going to play versus this, or this, then Aggro Mage looks a little bit nicer overall.
And although we've been talking about how hard it is to get the matchup you want, when a lot of the decks are very similar in speed and style, so you can lump Malygos Druid, you can lump Shadowwalk Shaman, you can want Taunt Warrior, all sort of together.
Right.
Suddenly you can start building a lineup that targets quite strongly a type of deck.
Yeah, most decks that, a lot of decks we said, oh, this is anti-aggro, or this is anti-control, control buster decks. Yeah, like you said, if you're good against one, you're probably at least okay against the others, which is about as good as these teams can hope for. We can see it's going to start with Priest versus Rogue. I'm just going to check some of these lists, because we'll talk about Czech Republic in a minute, because the list I want to talk about aren't being played first anyway, so that's fine. I'm just going to check. The Priest has a Squashling in it, a card you just mentioned.
Yeah.
From Indonesia, though, seeing if these guys are bringing anything too crazy. They have Aggro Mage. They have the Hunter, which is variant number 565 of this Death Rattle Hunter list.
Yeah, I mean...
No one knows what it does. No one knows what it is. But you just put the cards in it and hope it's good. It's true.
That's how you've always played Hunter.
Yes, I've played probably more singular, like different named cards in Hunter than most players in the world.
I have seen you testing Hunter before at the start of new expansions, and you do test every single card just to make sure they're not as good or as bad as people think, right?
Yeah, I think I won my first tournament with Hunter, and it had Ascension Shield Master, Azure Drake, Snipe, and this was, I'm saying Ascension Shield Master quite early on. Had all sorts of random stuff in it, and it worked. Sometimes you've got to experiment, Lorinda, and what better time than the theme of the expansion in a couple of weeks?
Yep, we can experiment with that lot later as well.
I'm not going to.
I want
by
to
all
test
means
it on the
for you.
Murloc.
That's fair. Okay, yeah. Falk.
Okay, we'll test it on Falk.
Right, okay, I think that's reasonable. Okay, let's get into game number 1. It's Czech Republic versus Indonesia. It's going to be the Priest from Czech Republic and the Rogue from Indonesia, and it is going to be the odd Rogue, right?
Yeah, nothing particularly exciting to say about this except hit them.
Yep.
Hit them before they stop you.
A lot of this is going to rely on if there's any strong openings for the Priest to counteract what the Odd Rogue is just going to do. There's no, oh, well, the Odd Rogue needs to draw this, needs to draw that. It's like, well, that's the whole deck, right? They're going to draw early minions, and they're going to play very aggressively in most cases. So it's more if Czech Republic and Yala, who's controlling right now, can draw, say, Cleric, Divine Shield, Wild Pyromancers, and then the big ones, the Dust Breakers, and maybe even the Twilight Acolyte to just negate any early Cold Blood pushes.
Yeah, not a lot going on from the Indonesian side. They do have an Owl in the deck, but that's not particularly that exciting.
My mind isn't blown, Lorinda, I'm not going to lie.
Sorry?
My mind isn't blown.
Yeah, I didn't intend to.
Okay,
I
good.
need you here for the next hour or so with me. Yala, the other member of Team Nordavind, obviously not Norwegian, but sort of getting a lot of points. Again, we keep talking about how Hunter Ace is overshadowing people. Yala is racking up a ton of points. I think he might be in 3rd place overall, and you're still not top on your team.
It's scary, isn't it?
It's actually ridiculous.
It's definitely scary in terms of you look at the power of some of these teams that have popped up, especially when the point standings are important, right? It's very much gives you a very straightforward display of, well, who just literally is doing the best right now. You can't really argue with who's the point leaders are, right? You can't say, oh, well, they're not good. It's like, well, no, of course.
Well, one of the reasons I don't churn out stats quite as much as I used to, although I still have them all here just in case, is because there's no need. The points tell you who's good and who's not.
A lot of time they speak for themselves, but Indonesia just taking their time. They do have a flurry of 1-drops available, but just going with the Squire, the more overall resilient minion, because like you can say the Fireflies are 1-2. The Squire can just get positive trades, mainly because that Cold Blood is there as well.
Leads nicely into potentially even a turn 2 Cold Blood, and they can get in for 8 or maybe even 12 looking at the board we can see before anything happens.
Yeah, it's going to be really funny, isn't it? Because there are a lot of 3-drop options for Czech Republic as well, so I'd love to just see a Mind Blaster face right now and just assert that dominance.
Mind Blaster face, go.
Yeah, why not? Obviously joking.
Didn't even heal his opponent to say the light will burn you.
Yeah, no, I heal and emote, or hero power and emote, I guess is the direct quote. But yeah, this looks like a Cold Blood to me, why not? We can see that it can get partially shut down. Oh, well, it can't actually.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't actually looking for a dragon. Does shutting it down count if you just, if you Acolyte, this weapon's going to go into it anyway?
Yeah.
Is 2 draws reasonable?
Dagger, Deadly Poison?
Yeah.
I know that you want to put that damage into the face, though, really.
Yeah, so this is a question. What do you do here, Lorinda? Because do you want to pile 5 damage into an Acolyte, prop the shield, or do you want to give the Acolyte 2 draws?
Things just went crazy, though. You can Dagger up, Deadly Poison, coin out another Cold Blood and hit them for however much that is. That's a lot of much.
10.
Without
trading, so it'll be 14.
The only problem is the Dust Breaker potential, but because you can trade in the Acolyte and then Dust Breaker. Right. Do you care?
I think the 4-2 can go onto the Acolyte here. You just give them 1 draw, don't give them multiple, and then you can push the rest of the damage to face.
And then that 9's going face at least twice from that point on. Denmark completing the sweep. It's a day of sweeps so far.
I'm okay with that. That's pretty crazy for Denmark as well. They were against was that Argentina, I think?
Argentina having a very bad run so far, which is quite a surprise for me. And they do take down the Acolyte because this 9's going in twice. That's 18, I believe. That's how 9s twice work.
I believe so. I believe so.
Because you put down your second finger, right? And
Yes, I don't know
count
why you're
nines.
waving fingers at me now.
I'm always waving
9
fingers
times
at you,
2
Raven.
is 18. That's how I did it. It's those crazy mathematics.
There's a 1 on the left of your hand and an 8 on the other side where you put down your second finger. So 9 times 2 is 18. Maths with Lorinda. I'll show you how to do that later.
I'm very, very.
Meanwhile,
was this what they did before they had calculators?
Yeah,
Is that how they, I don't know, you did
abacuses.
mathematics.
yeah, basically,
If you couldn't carry your abacus around, you just went, well, I've got 10 fingers, best do what I can.
we can work this out. But can the Czech Republic work this out?
I mean, they can negate this acolyte right now. But even then, there is suddenly, what, 4, 5, 6, 10 damage still from hand they can do.
It's just a silly amount of damage. They've had 3 turns.
It is scary. Cold Blood's a very powerful card.
Could be said that that is true.
This acolyte is the beginning
Yeah.
of a way to stabilize somehow for Czech Republic. It is hard though, because the rest of the hand just doesn't do it. They have the ooze next turn.
There might not even be a weapon there next turn.
Right, I was going to say, but so what? Because
Sure.
Indonesia could very easily not even particularly play around the ooze, but play a 1-drop and a 3-drop, and they can't dagger up. But why would you not want to go face? Because then you can hero power and face next turn. So events have just led to a point where Indonesia could very easily like dodge this ooze play, and Yala just has to play it at the moment because he currently just doesn't have any other options.
So if they stuck everything into face, I believe it's 11, if you count the SI7 agent as well. That would mean that they wouldn't be scared of Duskbreaker because there'd be no healing alongside it. And
I wonder if you play the Blink Fox first though. Because you don't particularly need the SI damage right now, and the Blink Fox is the same shape, right? It's still 3/3.
Yep.
So you can save the SI for next turn, or as a response to maybe killing the 9/4 as well, if you just want to be really secure. But wow, looks like Resting is just going deep.
just Adam.
I mean, this does mean that there are too many things to ask Yala and
Yep.
Czech Republic to do right now. If
I want that
I don't
face.
care about 9 damage at this point.
What they're scared of, I think, is the Acolyte trading into the 2-1 and then Duskbreaker. But they know it's not there at the moment.
And then it also just leaves a 3/3 on the board in terms of the Duskbreaker.
Yeah.
And they're on 4. You could do half of that damage just with your hero power, like, fine by me. And the desperate plays are happening.
Divine him, anyone?
They need at least power shield. That's just, yeah. I don't even know if there's a card now anymore that could be drawn. Team Indonesia getting hype. They put 1 point on the board right now, and that is huge. Yep, 1. We got it. These guys have taken the school of Lorinda. 1 as they hold their finger up to the camera, right? Yep. Luckily, this does not go to 18, and we have to work that one out all over again. But Indonesia taking 1 point on the board very, very quickly. And this has got to feel great. I mean, I feel like we're maybe being a bit too hard on Indonesia, but they're frankly just not the close.
They're not. I mean,
strongest team. They're just not.
we spent the whole tournament saying every team's the strongest team. We can't do that, otherwise that's just disingenuous.
But like I said, they had a great week last week. They're already 1-0 up against Czech Republic, and there's very limited things Czech Republic could have even done in that game, but still, it feels great to put a point on the board. And we can check out some of the other matchups that we've got as well, because this is going to tell the story right now. Pokrovac's on the Rogue, and Nexuk40 is on the Aggro Mage. Guess what? You normally want to play Aggro Mage against Rogue. It's one of the, I guess, oldest decided Aggro Mage matchups, right? It's like, well, Rogue can't heal, and I do tons of damage. Let's go.
Yes, it's one of those we've cast a million times since 2014 in various guises and forms, because it's just the same thing. Rogue used to have very limited healing, now it has none. Used to have very limited taunt, now it has none.
Yeah, that's it.
What it has
Discussion
to do,
over.
So the Rogue does have to just remove the minions. I say just, it's very easy said, but if it can remove the minions and not take too much face damage, and a Luneth not drawn, it can develop a big board and start hitting you back.
They can. You need the flip turn as the Rogue, right? You need either a Feldori Strider to summon 2 spiders on the board on the same turn straight after. You need a Great Valspine, or just not many minions from the Mage early on. And then you need to go, right, Cold Blood. You know, like, get Leroy ready, let's go. And just flip the board on its head. A big Van Cleef as well, obviously, can blow this out. This is Miracle Rogue from Czech Republic. So there are definitely ways you can do it. It's just hard.
And one of the interesting things I always find when watching this, assuming equalish draws and no blowout, is how many times you hit their minions with your face. You can't do it many times, otherwise the minions are just doing their job they're meant to do anyway.
I honestly find that a difficult choice in Rogue, and I have since I started playing Hearthstone, of where the dagger goes, when you re-dagger, when you swing. All these are questions just around this hero power alone. Look, I'm a hunter player. I'm used to just pressing 2 mana and 2 damage goes to face. Done. That's all the thinking you've got to do. Do I have 2 mana? Yes. Okay, I'll press it. Do I not? No, I won't then. But in Rogue, it's very, very difficult. And then when you're against such an aggressive matchup where every single point of damage counts, yeah, this is something I'd mess up, put it that way.
And it's just a mystery. Sometimes you watch somebody who you know is incredibly good at the deck just suddenly not attack with the first charge or something. You're like, why? And then you have to go back and work it all out later. And it's usually, oh, that's why.
It's almost like
they needed 2 charges for this thing that hasn't come down yet.
Right. It's like they're even the general rules often don't apply. Right. Like the rules are made to be broken. In that it's like almost every single situation has a unique answer to: do you dagger? Do you swing? Do you hold? Do you hold for 3 turns? No matter what, because you want to do this, like you said. Very, very difficult. I'm not a fan of doing it myself because I'm bad at it, but we're all here to learn anyway as we get into the next game. Krovac is going to be handling the Rogue at this point, and as I said, Nexuk on that aggro mage.
And all the things you just said, again, further complicated just by you can't afford to take much face damage. If you hit the mage minions, the mage minions are hitting you.
Yeah.
Usually you don't mind, you're using your health as a resource. Your health is a very limited resource in this one. I don't think there's anything surprising in either of these 2 decks from memory. Must point out that it's Gadget Sand, not Sprint, but that's not surprising. It's just something we have to now say.
Yeah, 1 Armani Berserker and 1 Pyroblast in the Mage for Indonesia. So that's becoming more and more just standard anyway. So nothing too crazy. We're not going to see like Book of Wonders or something.
Since, as Mana Worm disappears, since Sivka is no longer on this team, I think Krovac is the most experienced member. He's not having a particularly great year, but he played in the first championships all the way back in the first European championships all the way back in 2016.
Yeah.
The first HCT European championships.
Did not say Fairley though?
Oh, Fairley's been around forever. That's a fair point, actually.
I met Fairley at Gfinity.
Yeah.
Years ago. Literally years ago.
Sottle was still playing Hearthstone. Oh no, Sottle cast that event.
Yes, he definitely did.
He definitely cast that event.
Cast
you ever heard his sub emote?
I will say though, I think now that Sivka's not on the team, I view it more as a team, if that makes sense. And that is not particularly a positive, negative thing. Krovac, be careful you drink, mate. Yep, that was awkward. We all saw it. It's on camera. Wipe your mouth. Carry on. Oh no! It's like, no, my keyboard. But I view them as a squad, whereas I was always viewing like, okay, how much of this is not necessarily Sivka carrying, but more just is Sivka just wanting to control.
Has a very dominating personality.
Exactly. Whereas now,
charge.
I view Czech Republic as a squad. They're a team, and they seem to be working together as a team.
We heard that with Krovac in the interview week 1. It's like, now we can play sort of sensible decks. It wasn't quite the wording, but that's what the undertone was a little bit. And it's hard to play somebody else's decks.
It is, especially when they're weird.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at this. The prep, one of the ways that Miracle Rogue has been known to do silly things and come back into these games, and Mana Worm into the Arcanologist, but then with Kirin Tor Mage, Explosive Ruins, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, Cinderstorm, still the coin, there's still a lot left for Indonesia to get going, but now they have fallen behind ever so slightly.
Yeah, and you don't want to fall behind slightly at all with this deck, both against Rogue or against anything, because that burn damage is huge, but it's pretty slow. Yeah,
I think Nexuk can just go for the Kirin Tor Mage, Explosive Ruins, and due to the nature of Czech have to, pretend this is a counterspell in terms of their play, then if the SI7 agent goes into the 4-3, and then the Ruins, you'd imagine, well, just does kill out any minion they play next turn, then that's the turn they can say, okay, Keysmith or Sorcerer's Apprentice Cinderstorm to face. I think that's kind of flipping the board right back with this turn.
I think Keysmith has been one of those cards that nobody still knows if it's any good or not. It goes in a lot of decks because it's good enough, and it sometimes twists games on their head beautifully.
Yeah, I will travel back in time in my memory to the beginning of the expansion when Keysmith came out. And one of the first things I did was went to Radu and say, because, he plays a lot of aggro mage, and was like, Keysmith's good, right? It's just
Has he finished explaining it?
No, not yet. It's their secret with a body, so that feels good to me.
Yeah.
And he was like, it could be good, but I don't think so. Oh, don't think so at the moment.
Yep.
And now I do feel slightly validated because I feel like it was good, and now Keysmith's just at least a one of in almost every single mage deck, if not two of most of the time. So I just see the value of it's only a 2/2, but now you make your opponent play a guessing game, which I think is very important.
Yeah, and sometimes, not so much in this version of Mage, but sometimes you can really mess with them up by not taking the secret. Even if it's there, they're expecting,
Right.
'cause they'll play around the one they're expecting.
Yeah.
You can just do something really weird.
And what's good right now is I'm not sure we actually checked which secret that was.
I think it was very quickly taken. I think it was Counterspell.
Counterspell makes tons of sense, but the cool thing now is look how bad this turn is for Czech Republic. If they Slayer, if they think it's Counterspell, and it's not, they just take 2 damage and pass. Right? You know, there you go. So
And they did take the runes.
Right. If they sapped, well, even if it is Counterspell, they just do it again. So I think which is why they didn't take Counterspell, because the answers from Counterspell were not that great. So then you just go for the runes anyway to punish them, because that's what they presumed Team Czech Republic
And then you
was
just
gonna
pick
play.
Counterspell up and
This is...
Apprentice,
Look, Keysmith's a
Cinderstorm,
good card, guys.
Counterspell, just do all this.
Cinderstorm face, let's go. Coin into Cinderstorm face, 10 damage.
It's a lot of damage.
4 mana Pyroblast, haha.
And people didn't like Cinderstorm when they first saw it. It's like, it's just a bad missiles, apparently.
Yeah, I think a lot of players and a lot of people just thought, but it's 1 damage to random stuff. It's like, you're right, but what about if there's no stuff on the board? It's 3 mana, deal 5. Like, that's just solid. You play 4 mana, deal 6. So a lot of the times, that's the job done.
Yeah, good luck, Strider. Got a lot of work to do. An impossible amount of work, I want
Look
to
at this.
say.
This Keysmith now is just like pushed 4 damage without the secret. Right, it's attacked 2 times now.
It's kept stuff off the board, it's defended everything.
It's only a little 2/2, but even little 2/2s can have a big impact.
And it could be a little 2-0 to Indonesia in a minute.
It really might be, and we might. Imagine if we go for a double 3-0. That'll be every score on stream has been 3-0, right?
Yeah, and the one off stream.
Yeah.
So, players stepping it up. That's disappointing. If you're Indonesian. I don't think it's going to matter, though.
I like the secret pick, though. Because, again, you just play the game. What if it's runes? And we're near the point where Czech Republic can't do a lot about it if it's
Yeah, but
runes.
they're justifiable ping anyway.
They have limited options, but still you have to make your opponent play the guessing game. And this is just a horrible hand from Czech Republic. Let's be honest. At this point right now, they could probably be pinged down.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like, even without the fireball, they could probably be like, hit, ping, let's go. Frozen Clone. Gonna give them 2 gadget ends if they want to draw some cards late game. But wait, there is no late game because of damage permanence against Rogue right now, which we discussed at the start. And this is why the matchup is good. Every point of damage you do is a 1 out of 30, right? You know, like, that's it. There has to be a crazy Fox play that makes that not happen, and even that's impossible in certain matchups. But Indonesia doing the impossible right now. 2-0 versus Czech Republic. If they clean sweep Czech Republic, I just wish I picked Indonesia at this point. These guys are not messing around.
Yeah, they tore through Norway last week as well. 3-1, I believe.
I think it was 3.
I think the only one that Norway won was where they just went into the tank every turn with the Malagos Druid.
Right. Yeah, they did go 3-1, and so did Czech Republic actually over Canada. They went 3-1 as well, but I don't know. Indonesia's just crushing. It's absolutely insane.
Gets a little tiny bit better here for the Czech Republic, but not fantastically so. They've got the even lock against the Paladin, and even though it's a favoured matchup,
yeah,
you can definitely lose a lot of the time.
It's better than Aggro Mage versus Rogue, I think, but those are 2 very, very quick matchups. We've given you no time to breathe, so we're going to go to a short break where you can go grab a drink, grab a biscuit maybe, sit down and get ready for the next one. So we'll be right back. Indonesia versus Czech Republic. If you blinked, you nearly missed it, but we've got at least 1 more game to go. It's 2-0 to Indonesia right now, and it's heating up. What's the next matchup we've got, Lorinda?
So it's Fairley on the Warlock, the Even Warlock, and it is Paladin, the Paladin we know and love, the odd Paladin from Rezdan, Fairley. If anyone can do it this season, he's one of the players that can, like you alluded to earlier, he's been around for forever in the Hearthstone scene, but it's only this year, really, he started to break out. He reached the final in Oslo where he lost to Turner. He got to the top 4 DreamHack Summer. He also got to the top 8 of the Wild tournament.
Yeah, he did well in Wild. I was going to point out.
And picked up some bits and pieces along the way. He was top 16 DreamHack Winter, top 16 in Italy. He's just in the prizes at every single event right now.
Yeah, he's just getting the work done, basically, and he's going to have to get the work done now to keep his team in the match. We go into it, and as you said, Odd Paladin versus the Even Lock. And you said the Odd Paladin we all know and love. I don't know if the second half of that sentence was correct across the board. I have a love-hate relationship with this deck. I liked even Paladin Lorinda. I'm going to hold my hands up and admit it.
But they moved Call to Arms to this deck for you.
but yeah, like Odd Paladin, it's definitely a good deck. I feel like because it's so one-dimensional is
really
maybe the reason I don't like it. And that might sound funny because of Even, but I liked Even because it was ridiculously strong. But it's very like a one-dimensional deck, right? And Paladin is in a weird spot at the moment. We're probably going to see that shaken up quite a lot once the expansion hits in a few weeks. But for now, Odd Paladin all the way. I believe it's... oh, wait, was there Even Paladin in the lineups today?
There was yesterday.
Because last week, Odd Paladin was universally brought as the Paladin deck for every single team. But we'll see how it plays out now. Argent Squire, Firefly, and a Blessed Maul. Pretty nice. And a Sacred Maul.
And not the one you want, Maul.
So they're in the opening hand, but look at this from Czech Republic. Defile, Doomsayer, Swampoos, and a Shroom Brewer, all available early on. This is a very, very nice opening.
And notice how they wanted to play this. They even had the Twilight Drake in that opener. Not interested. Because if you can deal with the Paladin a couple of times, it just folds against Warlock. But it's definitely not a one-sided matchup. I've seen Muzzy claim to be favoured on both sides of this matchup before now.
So in this matchup, the Paladin's X%, the Warlock's X%, and then Muzzy's Muzzy%.
Yeah, Muzzy just wins.
Yeah, Muzzy's just the winning percentage. But yeah, the issue with Twilight Drake is, unless you get exactly some Fury Protector, it's often just ignored by the Paladin. It's like, well, okay, you can hit my 1/1 a turn. Like, great, you can 1/1 a turn. I'm making minimum 2. Let's go. But these openings are important. How much you commit onto the board, how much you don't. The Sacred Maul is, of course, just... You almost never, after Sacred Maul, can be good in some aggro matchups. That's about to, like, literally survive. And that's about it.
Stick your Corridor Creeper behind it after playing it sometimes. But, yeah, it just doesn't do a lot. The Mauls are important in this. If you get good rolls on your Mauls, you can just get Divine Shield. You just win. But the problem with the Squire in this game, as you're going to see in a moment, is Defile is just not a very good... It's just very good against dudes and Divine Shield. It just goes straight through them all. Yeah,
and one of the plays that I think Czech Republic just do have to consider just for a second is Doomsayer is obviously powerful, but you are only asking Team Indonesia to have a +1 attack. Whoa! They dropped us.
Oh my goodness.
They're doing secret tech. Okay, there we go. Anyway, I found my thought before Czech Republic interrupted me. There we go. Hey, Fairly, sorry. So yeah, you're asking Paladin to have +1 damage.
Yeah.
It's not that hard, to be honest. A lot of the time, going into raid leader turn, you might have another Arcus Veteran, for example. So, how can they play it? I thought they were going to couple it with Defile and maybe wait 1 turn, play Defile next turn into Coin Doomsayer, and give them a wide berth so they can play either Vulgar Homunculus and some Fury Protector, or just drop a Shroom Brewer uncontested. Interesting.
This does do a lot. That it kind of forces the Maul to be played, to reveal itself, and lets you know. Basically, they have to tank everything into this Doomsayer, and then you just blow everything up anyway. It's worth pointing out, you cast a game like this last week where Indonesia just didn't press the hero power on 2, favouring playing the cards out of their hand. This was against Mage. They did it.
It was, yeah. They did have the God Curve against Mage, to be fair.
Yeah.
So.
But this is a lot more difficult. But just not pressing the hero power button, obviously relying on getting Divine Favour maybe to top things up.
Yeah, the tough one here for Czech is you might look at this Czech Republic hand and go, oh, they just win, right? They have a Defile. And you're like, well, right.
And
but then
what?
Team Indonesia just do it again. And you're like, right, I don't have Defile anymore. Whoops. So it's not like you can just play it, because Defile clears all of the minions here, as you mentioned.
Once in the game.
But yeah, but then what? They might have to, because this is just 8 power on board. It's a Mountain Giant's worth of power, so you do normally want to clear those. The coin into the Vulgar Homunculus looks like the play that they're going to end up making, which is nice. It does have a good sort of shape as a 2/4 to deal with this stuff, but you do have to just be a little bit wary, because now there's just no AoE. There's nothing.
I'm just looking at the hand, and there really is very little going on. That ooze is surprisingly helpful, but you really want to save that for Vine Cleaver if you possibly can, and they might not quite get the chance to do that. But a virtually clear board going into turn 5 is what you want as the Czech Republic, not just for the level up, but also for the Fungalmancer. And they look like they're going to be in that position. And then when you get to turn 6, as Warlock, you can start doing 2 things a turn, which is obviously a big, big deal.
Looking at this, the Shroom Brewer might just be MVP right now, because you'd swing the weapon and create the board with just Hero Power and say Flame Element. You don't even need to play Veteran this turn. And then they just trade and heal it back up again. And that's very, very frustrating.
It's really irritating when you're the Paladin to play against Taunt for the best of times, and because the attack value just basically doesn't matter, it's the health that matters.
Right.
Have it all healed back up, like you say. They're going to get maximum tankage out of this Homunculus.
I think this on the 1-2 is better, isn't it?
Yeah, because you want your 1/1s to survive for the level up. So spreading out your worth does seem better to me too.
Because even if the Homunculus doesn't trade and trades into a 1/1 instead and leaves the 2/2 alive, well, great, then the other 1/1.
Yeah, if you want to kill a 1/1, you still can. You can't kill them both in one turn.
So many possibilities.
Yeah, if anything, I'd try and just like, probably won't work against players this good, but I would like trying to mentally bait the trade into the Flame Elemental, sorry, just so you can have a higher chance at leveling up next turn.
So how do you like stare at them hard?
No, you just buff the 1/2.
Okay. I'm not used to the art of mental baiting.
Yeah, I'm not saying it would work, but I'd try it. I'd give it a whirl. Sometimes you've got to make these weird plays.
Yeah, it definitely can work, like you say, when there's 4 of the best players in the world.
4 of the best players in Czech Republic, at least.
Yeah. Yala. World.
Yala isn't?
No, I think he's one of the best players in the world.
Oh, right. I thought you were hacking like, nah, they're not 4 of the best players in Czech Republic. I was like, Lorinda, please.
Yala's an honorary Norwegian at this point.
Okay.
Count. I don't know.
So they went with the Twilight Drake instead of the Shroom Brewer. Sacred Maul Hero Power is available right now, and that's just going to help a little bit. And this is kind of cute, right? This is one of those weird things where Sacred Maul does something, and what it does is it protects, kind of, the 2 1/1s now ready for, say, level up next turn. But now with Vine Cleaver and level up in hand, Resden can choose to take it a little bit slower and start the option late game.
Very interesting how he wants to cope with this, because he can also just choose to leave the Twilight Drake there, stick 6 in the face.
Oh, I would, yeah. You could even...
If you go with that and your opponents put another taunt down or start healing up, you start losing to the Twilight Drake is one of the problems.
Right, my view on it is, what if they play anything, so it's going to be some Fury Protector or another Homunculus, we'd have to deal with that anyway, right? And then you still have more minions to deal with that, with the taunt and not the random 4/6 that sat on the board.
Yep, and that's where they are putting all the damage.
Yeah, it's going to be more than a 4/6 though. It's going to be a 7/7 with taunt hitting the board this turn, if Fairly wants it.
Was there a case there for leaving them on 18?
I think so. Does the 1 extra damage count when you have nothing directly to push next turn? There is level up, but does level up make that much impact? The 2/1 is going to die 100% of the time. So you push 6, you're still not getting anywhere near lethal.
Because I do feel that in general people worry about the 15 cutoff too much, but when it's just going from 18 to 16, definitely a case there for holding back for 1 turn.
Because your hand's so slow.
Right.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. You just go straight through the Reaver and just carry on.
If they had Leroy Blessing of Might, maybe you're like, wait, the second they don't have it, I just win the game. You know, there's things to consider, but yeah, I don't know. I do agree people play around it a bit too much, though. Maybe I'm just a loose cannon when I play Lorinda.
I mean, you are a bit of a loose cannon, Raven. I've seen you.
I'm like,
hunter people.
Can I go face this turn, though?
Of course I can.
Right, and then that normally makes up my whole decision point. Well, this is a bad turn.
Yeah, whatever you want to do here, you don't want to do that thing.
You swing the weapon, that's something you do.
Reporting for duty.
Yes, because you want to get the level up after the Vine Cleaver for the attempt to make 4.
I just want to hit him for 12 with Vine Cleaver. You know, I just want to get it 5.
Yeah.
Told you, I'm just all about going face low.
Loose cannon Raven. But now they are in the world where they have to just hope Hook Reaver isn't there. I can't see what hitting the 3-4 does. Well, it turns into a 3-2. That's about it. That's what it
It's
does.
in fact what it does. Excuse me.
Choices now. Trading into the 3-3, Shroom brewing up minion, and then just Sun Fury protecting. Looks quite interesting.
I think 7-7's just the way to go, right? You could 7-7 trade and still taunt up the Twilight Drake. Because looking at Indonesia's Paladin, they don't have silence. So
Right.
the 7-7's a 7-7. There's been no Stonehill played, so you know there's no Tarim. And Void Ripper does nothing versus the 7-7.
And it's that one-dimensionality that you were
Right.
talking about earlier, that the lack of silence. People play silence in this for a long time, and it just didn't help you kill the people you should kill.
Right, a lot of the time the stacking minions, the speed in which you play means that silence wasn't super impactful, but I just don't really see a major punish for the hooked Reaver unless I'm missing something.
The end is coming!
Because even if there's hero power level up, there's only 9 power, which means that kills one hooked Reaver the way the trades end up going, or they kill the Twilight Drake and leave the hooked Reaver on the board.
This way gets you onto an empty board. That's one thing to look at. Next turn, it gets you just onto an empty board. You take some damage, but you don't die very often here.
They're dead to, what, double Blessing of Might
Double
Leroy?
Blessing Might Leroy if it's even in there.
It is in there.
So they have left themselves dead, but they're not going to be dead.
But also, look at this. This is
Yeah.
this is what's scary as well. I mean, the hooked Reaver argument still counts, right? There's no silence, so they can't just weapon through it. But it's a little bit scary.
Yeah, it's not just scary. You've stopped yourself being able to tap, which is always a thing. But now Hooked Reaver shuts down Vine Cleaver pretty well.
Yeah, and look at Indonesia. Players are just like, come on, we can do this. Quick 3-0, let's go. We can see that's not going to happen because I believe there's very few draws because.
Oh, you're calling it now.
Well,
Yeah.
I can see call that.
I see why you would.
I could see Hooked Reaver into Hooked Reaver Shroomburr next turn. I don't quite know how they're pushing the damage through.
I'm sold.
They would literally have to draw
I think they're trying to work out any
Stonehill
world
into Tarim,
where they're
and
dead.
I think Stonehill into Tarim is the only real out they've got.
Playing Sunflower Protector just for the body on board to deal with any minions that might surface. Doesn't quite set up lethal. Assuming the Vine Cleaver has to swing into the 7-7.
Well, the awkward thing is it does in a lot of cases
Yeah.
as well because of Hellfire, right? Like if Vine Cleaver now
Sure.
goes in, another Vine, and then they hit again, that's 14. They have 15-16 with the Sunfury Protector, so they only need 3 damage, and 3 damage is something that Warlock does pretty well with that Hellfire.
I know,
And they won't be dead to it.
Tap for Hellfire and play it. That'll work well.
No, yeah.
Maybe that doesn't.
But look
quite-
at this, they can
Yeah.
retrieve a Shroom Brew, and it's like, get dead?
Get dead.
Yeah, get deaded.
Every time I think I've picked up on Raven phrases, they just evolve.
I try and keep them fresh, Lorinda. I know people like fresh things.
Fresh phrases.
So many possibilities.
Trade or face? I'm asking Raven. This is, I go on about this probably too often, but this is the hardest thing for pro players to agree on ever. It's like, we have won this game, what do we do that means we never lose?
Many possibilities.
I'm trying to think here. So, like, even without Shroom you can Hooked Reaver and Weapon. Weapon Destruction with the Ooze. Or you could just Shroom Brewer the Hooked Reaver that exists right now.
Yeah, they can't tank
Ooze.
7.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they can't really deal with this, so you just go face, right? Because they cannot get through this, and if they can't get through it, great pass if you want. The 2-3 going into a 1-1 is fine, because the 2 damage doesn't really change much, but they can't tank this. Oh, what?
I knew you were going to get upset. Lethal's still on board next turn, so it didn't change the clock.
It's the principle, Lorinda. It's the principle, the situation. 7-3 goes into a 1-1. I mean, it is correct.
Done its
Cool.
job.
Yeah. I can't argue with it,
You
unfortunately.
killed something. That's what it's there for.
Play the homunculus. Wait, they just didn't concede when they're dead on board?
Not yet.
Am I missing something? Why is this turn taking so long?
There was a blessing, right? Did I imagine that blessing?
What?
And it's over.
I don't get what happened. One, Indonesia didn't concede, and two, Czech Republic discussed how they were going to lethal them. I am very confused right now, but Czech Republic are not 0-3 in this match, so it's a big deal for them. They got a win on the board. They can continue fighting on. What's the next matchup we've got, Lorinda?
Next matchup is the Warrior versus the Druid. Warrior on the side of Czech Republic.
Okay. Druid for
I haven't
Indonesia.
checked the Warrior to see how much weapon stuff is in there.
I don't think they care as much about weapon stuff with
Oh,
this list. Mr.
there is a
Lorinda.
Harrison, but I assume that means there's no Twig.
There is a Twig. There is a Faceless. There's also an Alexstrasza, Lich King, and a Malagos. And there's also a Tarantus as well.
Greedy.
It is, isn't it?
Greedy
I do like the
boys.
Tarantus, though. It's just something we've seen a lot in the... Tarantus is just an awkward spot for a lot of decks at the moment. That a lot of the removal is targeted removal. Look at Naturalize, Executes, Meteor mainly
It
the health
just
of the
amuses
minion.
me.
Like,
A 12/12 you can't target is awkward to deal with right now, as if it was ever easy.
right. Shush.
Warrior does have Brawl.
I'm getting tangled up. Sorry, guys. Yeah, the brawl is there, but are you ever really playing Tarantus into a board that looks brawlable? A brawlable board?
Don't make me say things like that.
Say that
please.
5 times quick, Learner.
Can't say it one time slow.
I guess with certain force brawls you can make with the Raptors, for example, it's a little bit trickier, but... Ooh, okay, let's see if Harrison gets kept here.
It's got to be super tempting.
It's weird in that the Twig's just good, right?
Yes.
Because if you equip the Twig, they are not going to snap Harrison you, and they're probably going to wait a little bit, which means Harrison is a held card in hand that we can see, that they have to wait until they only draw 1 to 2 cards.
And they've kept
It's so weird, isn't it?
You don't want to snap the Twig,
No,
basically.
no. Not until it's already nearly broken. You basically let your friend try and break it about,
It is
4
already
times.
nearly broken,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
4 times, and then you grab it and go, give me a try. You snap it, they've really just loosened it up for you, but... Yeah,
Cool. So you look like the tough guy.
yeah, it's like opening a tough jar of pickles.
Where were you when I was 12? Don't answer that question. I just needed advice like this, life tips with Raven.
Really?
How to
It's
look
just
tough.
completely unborn. Is that the right phrase?
It is
Unborn?
now. I suspect
Not alive?
it's not. I
Not a
suspect
thing?
It's not a good phrase, but yeah.
Well, let's get into it, the Twig. It's live. For Indonesia, they can play in a few turns, and then Czech Republic, double-edged sword right there. They have the Harrison ready, but they did keep it, and we can see Indonesia. You can still win this matchup without the Twig. Once the Warrior's armor goes away, you bring a very straightforward count, right? In terms of, you know whether they've got shield blocks or armorers. If they haven't, great. If they have, well, you can account for that to a certain extent.
It's very interesting. Again, this is like, I mean, these are decks you see on ladder, but this is an evolution of people sort of going over each other's deck. It's like, okay, I'm going to play Harrison in case they play Twig, and then I'm going, okay, I'll play Tarantus because then I need another win condition in case Twig gets blown up because more and more people are killing it, and it's just going one better than the other people all the time. Like normally, Harrison versus Twig gives the Warrior a great chance of winning, but Tarantus, like you said at the start there, was going to really equal this one up.
Yeah, it's just a pain to deal with, and there you go.
Whoa.
And most importantly, with this deck, a lot of the time, you have the mana just knocking around at 10, where, say you don't know UI, you've already got plenty of cards, you can't play Malagos Moonfires because you've not got the rest of the combo. You might be holding a lot of cards. Well, this time, if you've got 10 mana, if worst case is dropping a 12/12 untargetable onto the board, sweet.
But all the things you just said are only relevant most of the time. Right now, Indonesia are struggling to find that ramp.
They are. They have to play a reasonable game of Hearthstone instead of one we saw last round that you cast, the last series, should I say, where it was just like, the wild growth, nourish, whatever the hell you want.
That was an unreasonable game of Hearthstone.
I was just like, right, they UI'd me on 4 or whatever turn it was, turn
Raven,
4 or 5.
get ready, you're up.
Yeah, I was relaxed back there, just watching the game, and I blinked and was like, oh, okay, guess I'm going. Ferocious Howl. Choice now between that and coin into the weapon. I don't think you need to overly rush. You don't have tons of things, so you've got the time to swing the weapon loads anyway.
May have mentioned once or twice before, with Druid, you have to trust your deck, play the Howl, draw a good card, you'll be fine. For me, that phrase is you hitting people in the face with Hunter. For me, it's just like, Druid will draw its way out of it, it'll be fine.
It normally does, to be fair.
Strange that when you stack your deck full of completely busted cards, It tends to draw good cards. Or as Admirable would say, it just draws patches every turn. Not this deck.
Slightly different version of Druid, I think he was talking
It's the
about.
Taunt Druid here. He just thinks every card is patches.
Wild Growth.
Patches, not patches.
Right, there we go.
But it draws
Proving
into
him wrong
patches.
already.
Yeah. Always best to pick on people when they're not here to defend themselves. Definitely the best way. Sottle taught me that one.
How did Sol teach you that? All he does is pick on me, and I'm here all the time.
He said, when you're not with Raven, pick on him, so I, don't have to.
Oh, so you just want time off bullying me, okay. So definitely a weird holiday request I wouldn't sign off if I was his boss.
Imagine if you were Sottle's boss.
I dream of that most nights.
The look on your face was amazing.
I dream of that most nights.
All right, Czech Republic, 0 out of 7, so they've got to get a move on.
Yeah, they do kind of have 7 available to them, though. The
Yep.
Guitar Creeper, Stonehill's worth 2, and then Phantom Militia is worth 3 once you hit the turn 9, of course. But also, you could even Phantom Militia on 6, and it's likely that the deck draws a reasonable taunt to play early on. The taunt's max out for anyway.
This is what happens, though, when Sivka is not in charge. They're not eating fruit. They're eating, like, chocolatey things.
Oh, I mean, the bananas got them the win last time, so I'm kind of worried now if they've gone with the unhealthy option.
Not good.
Maybe this is what they do when they're down.
Like, power up.
Yeah, maybe it's a chocolate banana biscuit. People eat chocolate and banana, right? That's a combo.
They could. And if they don't, we should start making them.
Okay. See the Condor Sentry get taken there from the Stonehill, so there's 2. 3 with the Tar Creeper.
What to do?
Indonesia don't seem to be communicating a lot of the time. It's great they've all gone to the same room. I love to see that, but it seems to be quite quiet, which is not necessarily a bad thing either. If
Maybe
a couple of
it's
people just shut up and let the others get on
Aura
with
of
it.
calm.
What
Yeah.
to do?
They are talking though.
Still nothing doing, but next turn it all kicks off with Novish.
Yeah, the Norwich pickup was nice.
Very methodical approach to this from the Czech Republic. Obviously, like you said, they've got a good chance here of just getting the quest done. But I think the best way to do it, Corner Sentry is always an interesting card to me when to use it.
Yeah. There we go.
2 out of 7.
Yeah. So yeah, so there's 3 with the Phantom Militia.
Do you just trust the
Fine.
Phantom Militia next turn, do you think? Just play 2 out there, seems all right. You get a little bit of chip damage out of it by playing it earlier. It's not all counting up the quests.
It is, but the worry is if you play 2, then you go to 4, then you have 5, then even if you draw another taunt, you're not there yet.
Sure.
So I'd rather even not necessarily have to play Corner Sentry, but I'd rather draw a turn also, see if I get another taunt, then you can just guarantee it, right?
Yeah.
100%. Whereas you do hit those odd moments where if you need 2 draws instead of 1, that's quite a dramatic increase. Double, some may say.
I'd probably say that if I was being pedantic.
Sounds okay.
I thought I'd give you some time off. Indonesia going through the process we talk about a lot from turn 7 to 9, or mana turn 7 to 9, of just emptying out that hand, make the way for the new blood that Ultimate Infestation presents. Czech Republic working out when to Harrison. Not yet is the answer. Because then you lose to Ultimate Infestation really quickly.
There's also some plays they have to consider soon. It might line up okay. But like, what happens if you try and empty the board with this Tyrant, like clear these off, obviously it's kind of 2-for-1s, and then you play Tyrantus on the most empty board you can. It's literally only a Brawl that beats it, with Raptors, and then you just Alex bang. Like, Malagos can stay.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's something that feels
And then you're on
pretty
like
good right
3
now.
or something.
Right, and then how does a warrior get out of that without being really messy? You also have a 12-12 and an 8-8 on the board.
Yeah, and in some situations, just challenge them to make sure they don't lose a 1 in 5. Even in
Right.
bad situations, like
Yeah.
you've got to just 20% of the time I'm going to get you.
And you still have UI, you still have Malygos, you still have Moonfires, you still have Swipes, you still have Malfurion. You know, there's a lot of juice you could still draw that just win the game. It's asking a lot of questions of the Warrior right now.
This is kind of a variant on that theme. It's not the same, but Alex Straza's pretty big herself.
The funny thing here is it's either get a full mana turn. Wait. Oh, this is so funny.
Is it?
Yeah, because this baits Harrison, right? Look at the turn next turn.
Yeah.
They go to 9 mana. It can do nothing with 9 mana. They can't do anything with 9 mana.
But they didn't dare risk it.
Yeah, they have Naturalize and Hero Power and a Wild Growth to 10 mana that they're going to get anyway. So they played Alex with the 1 Twig Swing with the intention of them saying, well, if they don't do it, they go to 10 anyway and get a kind of 1.5 turn plus the card they draw. If they do break it, sweet! They're on 10 mana and they can do Tarantus and Ultimate Infestation things. That's a really weird play. Not weird necessarily bad, just weird.
Just managed to use the coin as another Wild Growth, the way they worked it.
Right.
And this looks simple, but still worth discussing. Winland in a whole heap of trouble.
Been a real mixed bag of results so far in the first 2 weeks of global games.
What to do?
I do like the Tarantus here because
Of course, deal with it.
you're literally asking the Warrior to have either a Wall of Taunt or Cornered Sentry Brawl.
And this is the play you were doing, but they found a way to do it a turn earlier.
Absolutely fine by me.
Yeah? Yeah, do it quicker. Well, definitely.
Oh, the Brawl got picked up though.
Oh no, the look on everybody's face in the Czech Republic was like, don't tell me. Somebody find a play that isn't pressing this Brawl. I mean, you have to corner sentry if you do it, right?
Yes, and the crazy thing is you can't double Cornered Sentry. You also can't armor Cornered Sentry Brawl to gain one extra minion in your favor, and 2, some armor that you probably need against Malygos Druid.
It's just the look of resignation coming over their faces. They slowly but surely realise they've got to do this, or most likely got to do it.
If you didn't believe me at the start of this matchup when I talked about the benefits of Tarantus and how it came, well, we talked about the benefits of Tarantus and
This
how
would
it
be
came into
over.
the meta. Look at this situation. It's horrible. What does the Warrior do?
Yeah, it's basically, in a weird way, it just counters the Harrison, right? You've lost your Twig to Harrison. Well, here's a big boy.
Well, here's 12 damage that I wanted to get from the Twig. But in a minion you can't kill, and here we go.
It's go time.
Oh wait, they're just putting up taunts. Okay. Different idea. It does gain them a lot of armor. This probably is just overall safer. Would you like a potential second Tarantus, Linda?
It's tempting.
Oh wait.
Oh, hang on though. Everybody sits forward.
Swipe, Hero Power, Naturalize.
Clears.
That I can't argue with that. It does.
But 2 12-6s. One will stick around and clear the board. I think I like to clear and hit 12 into face and see what happens.
But we can see the clears better because it just makes Brawl completely ineffective.
But I mean, 12 to face, if they do Brawl, if they do have a way of clearing it, how do they kill it?
No, that's what I'm saying.
You've got to stick something
They
in the way.
literally need Brawl. If you leave minions on the board. If you don't leave minions on the board, there is second warp. No, you can't warp path. Yeah, pass. I don't know how they clear it.
So,
They just have to put a taunt in the way and hope it's enough.
Malygos.
Time waits for no one.
So now, this seems fine as well. I like to clear and hit you, but this is fine as well, I think. I think they're reluctant to maybe use a Naturalize just because of the fact that the Czech Republic are so low on cards.
Right, and also if you naturalize 1, then it still leaves just a random 2-1 on the board doing things. So, you know, like, that's just annoying. What they're doing, though, now is saying that the 2 minions can kill a Tarantus.
Yeah, I think the clear just felt better. And if it doesn't die, you just faces it next turn.
Right. And how can it die?
It can't. I mean, it could end up being like useless, but it couldn't die. They play some taunts, you make another 12-6. I think I preferred waiting 1 turn personally. Because you've got to connect a few times to get this 36 through. You lost your Twig, so you're not going to combo kill them in Malygos.
How long can this go on?
But by saving the swipe, obviously they get more options this turn. Now they start shooting things at you.
How long can this go on?
Huh.
Yeah, I saw what you were thinking there. You think you trade first, give yourself the 50-50.
Yeah.
But I feel this way just gives you the option. If you hit the 12-4, you can still bump into the 12-6 with the 2 minions, and you basically kill them both. So if it hits the...
Why don't you just take the 12 with the weapon?
Or you could take the 12 with the weapon, but I think you just leave up the chain gangs to face off against a 12-2.
Okay.
So they had 2 and 3 chances.
Just thinking, asking for the removal isn't a big question, right?
Sure.
Can Druid remove two threes? Like,
Well,
probably.
They chose not to a couple of turns ago.
Nice.
So maybe they concluded it wasn't there.
I guess it's UI one.
And also it stops UI. If it had gone to 12 as a 12-2, it would have stopped the UI. Because you'd be facing off a 12-2 against a 2-3, which you wouldn't want.
I like the UI now, though. What Indonesia need are options, because this looks like it might be slipping away.
Yeah, quite a way to go yet, because the Druid's good at sticking minions in the way for a while. But I agree with you, I think slowly but surely, Czech Republic are scraping their way back into this.
Yeah, you can see the benefit, though, right? Like, look at the raw power of UI. Imagine Tarantus isn't even there, right? Imagine Tarantus is just dead.
Okay.
Well,
it's a happy vision.
Indonesia still have a ton of great cards. Lich King, that Branching Path. They have the Malygos. They have a Naturalize in case there's something sticky in the way they need to get rid of. So they do have the options. It's just after these 2 threats, there isn't really anything else left that the Warriors are going to care about outside of Malfurion. But what's super important right now is armor gain is very slim.
Yes. Oh. Yeah, I was wondering if they're going to do this brawl. I was just thinking that while you were nattering away. Because when are they going to get? They've got 2, so when are they going to get 2 better brawls than that? One, sure, some sort of spreading plague shenanigans. And honestly, at this point, missing. So you quite often you want to hit the minion, obviously. That's always your first one. But if you miss 2 or 3 times in a row, suddenly you start wanting to hit.
Yes,
it's always a weird way how it works.
You want to do one thing.
Yeah.
Right. You either want to clear all the minions in some matchups, obviously, or you want to just spam face. Right.
You've got one job.
One or the other. Yeah. You can't just change. You can't just change your decision. You gotta stick to your guns. I'll stick to your Ragnarok shots.
Trying to work out what the effective hand sizes are here. Because when you have that hero power, your hand size is effectively quite a lot bigger because you have a removal card every turn. Certainly Indonesia are capable of making another board or 2 yet.
It's definitely how they make it, though. They've got to be scared of this armor. And they also have to consider that although Naturalize is a fantastic removal tool, at the moment with the Czech Republic only on 2 cards, 3 on the draw, then they don't want to give them another 2 on top of that. Like, that's a significant increase in hand size. And as you said, the removal acts like a semi-card anyway. So they are going to be a little bit worried. They want to bring this armor down so the Malygos doesn't get shield slammed, and they want to make it more difficult to deal with overall.
Yep. And conversely, I think the Czech Republic will hold on to at least one of these Sulfuras charges so that Malygos can be taken down with the combination of that and the hero power.
This is not bad, though.
So for a couple of turns of tiptoeing around.
This gets 5 damage to face, reduces the armor down, which is super important. Because they also just don't want the Lich King just shield slammed either, they just don't want it ignored.
Yeah. Yeah, make them hit you. Make them hit your minions. Pew!
Ouch. The face.
You see where they wanted it to go and it wasn't there.
Czech Republic really do not want to hit this ghoul with a shield slam. But they've decided they have to by looks things. Maybe not. There's discussion happening right now. But yeah, this shield slam on this ghoul when you know it's probably the 2nd weakest card in the deck right now in terms of minions has got to hurt.
Yeah, just buying themselves some time. Because they're getting to the point now where Ragnaros is going to be a major pest. And they seem more, I mean, I'm concerned about their position, but they seem a bit more concerned about it than me. But now, the branching paths, double branching paths in hand at some point, even on a couple of minions, could force a lot of damage through.
Even funnily enough, Spreading Plague.
And Tyrant.
Branching paths you can still do.
Just looking at Spreading Plague into Tyrant just right now, obviously cycle a bit first, see if we pick up anything else up.
Gotta be careful with a bit of cycle here. They're only on 6 cards after this draw now.
Yeah, I want to make sure they can actually play their cards before they start fatiguing.
Yeah. What they might do here, actually, which is a nice play, is if this hits, say this hit goes face.
Yeah.
Hero Republic already showed that they did not enjoy missing that goal and had to shield slam it.
Okay.
So they can't remove minions easily.
Okay.
Then you branch your pass for double attack and say, let's roll. Because there's no armor gain. We've just seen the shield block, of course. So
Right.
yes, I know there are certain cards that can gain armor in the deck, but on average, there is no real armor gain left in the deck.
Using that first charge to clear a board. Acolyte Pain is a very welcome sight right now. Finland hanging in there.
Yeah, fighting back.
Acolyte Pain not only going to draw a card, but representing the execute threat they need. And then they can start forcing shots to the face, and that's when things get terrifying.
Right.
No good-looking plays here. They really don't want to play this Lich King. They must have a good idea what's in their hand, because those two cards have been sat there forever.
Yeah.
Box cam here. Is that a banana in a box? I think it might be.
Probably.
Pretty sure that was a lucky banana.
God, I wouldn't want a lucky banana. Imagine how rotten that's going to get after a few weeks. It's a long tournament format.
It would be a pretty, especially the temperature here in Europe right now. Pretty warm.
Ooh, the worst one you could get.
Seen a lot of those around.
I'm going to hero power first.
You think?
Yeah.
Because you're getting information of one sort from the hero power. You're getting information of another sort from bumping in the Acolyte and getting a card.
That's true. I'm just thinking that the Acolyte's still just a pain because you're so far ahead on fatigue.
And it's there for Malygos.
You don't need to throw it away. It's there for Malygos. And also, if hero power hits Lich King, fine. If it's face, fine. You can still make that play. But also, you quickly hitting the point where you know Indonesia are running out of stuff. And if you get to hero power this as well, it just means you've got like more answers than you defended it.
Yep, just get an extra card in hand by hitting a Lich King. It's effectively drawing you another card in its own little way, in my little way.
Lorenda's little way.
To impact.
What a bad card in this instance.
It's weird because when you go through the cards in their hand, they all look fine, but actually none of them really do anything right now, and they haven't got much longer than right now. 4 cards in deck. Not only that,
Two of them are Moonfire.
Yeah, and they're taking damage quite quickly as well now. If you don't play anything in the way, you're just going to take 8, then 13, or 9, then 13.
They have Malfurion, Moonfire, Spellstone, I think. It's my count, Lauren.
I'm happy with 3 of those, and Spellstone probably. I think their hand's almost forced. I think just because of the fact they've got nothing else to do, just waiting, they will die in 2 turns.
Okay.
I don't think it's great, but
These Moonfires just got really bad. They must know that Malygos is dead, right? Been cards held for so long, you've seen 0 executes, there's only 9 cards in the deck, and there's an activator in the form of just the weapon equipped.
I think it's just one of those plays where we can't work out how we ever win.
Right.
So let's go for the chance we misread it, and math hasn't happened, and our opponent's blah blah blah, and.
Out of my jungle!
And Czech Republic, Raven, coming back.
Looks like it. I don't see a way out for Indonesia now, even with the Tarantus. I do feel like they could have pushed some more damage, though.
Are they pushing down by hitting for face every turn for 8?
I mean,
Czech
I'm
Republic
talking Indonesia.
Yeah, Indonesia have definitely ended up with a lot of cards in hand.
There was a moment where they could have given Czech Republic 2 additional cards, but they could have hit for 12. And obviously, you know, the butterfly effect of, well, the game just looks different. But then suddenly with that extra hit, you maybe can just like swipe face and then
Well, there was a decent chance as well they'd get to faceless the 12-6
right
if they'd gone with that route. Because how would it have been removed that turn? And then
Well,
when
that
the brawl
was it for
comes,
me,
one of your
like-
12-6s has got a much better chance of winning the brawl.
That was it. It was a 12-6 on a completely empty board. How does it die? It's just unlikely, right?
Very unlikely.
Especially so early in the game.
And looking now, if they manage to get 12 through twice, so we
if you get
forced one.
twice.
If you get another
you don't play
sneaky
Malagos.
12, and there could be a snowball effect that you could just win the game, and you don't play the Malagos like you say.
You would just double branching paths for armor and just say, let's just wait, and then Malagos go. We'd like the swipe beforehand, obviously.
Rotten to my core.
You did the voice line for Rotten Apple One, right?
You,
Rotten to my core.
I'm nice, Raven.
Oh, okay.
I'm a nice guy.
I must have misheard, Lorinda.
Can you imagine me saying that word?
Yes. What, misheard or core?
Anything starting with R.
Oh, rotten. Oh, that's why you didn't
That's
do it.
not my voice line. I can promise you that one.
Just did some, tech changes. Like the equivalent of photoshopping your voice.
Voice shop
Yeah.
with Lorinda. So here's a branching path play. It only needs to do 29 damage and get through 3 taunts, and they're good.
Easy.
They got this.
They're like, right. Step one.
Now what?
Like, did anyone remember the rest of this plan? You can make 2 Yetis with Colin.
I think he's just doing one at a time to see if anyone has an idea halfway through. Like,
Nope.
yeah, you know when you change your mind, like, do you want to go out tonight? Do you want to stay in and play Hearthstone? And then someone says something, you know which one you want to do. He's just doing that. Let's get in 6 armors, see if anyone complains.
Yep.
See if anyone actually knows what they want to do here.
They made 2 Yetis. You can't argue with that. But there's just a lot of health on the board. They do have 3 attack every turn if they want with the Malfurion.
They're also nearly dead.
That is true.
But if this goes face, if anything, no. So this board can be dealt with pretty easily, as long as the shot hits.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't hit, you just jam a chain gang in the way and chill.
I think even at this point, you could probably just equip Scourge Lord.
It does go face. Findan seeing the funny side. Yeah, and obviously the Scourge Lord gets rid of the hero power, but you get to the point where it doesn't matter because you kill everything they've got.
Yeah, you're too far ahead. They've got other options right now, so they don't need to do it, but
Should it come to that?
even that turn, Garrosh into hero power clears the board. They can push a tiny bit of damage with this 2 mana. 2 attack, sorry. And then we'll look how far ahead they are on fatigue. Like, they're just fine at this point.
Feels like almost every team ends up with Warrior being left up.
Yeah, it's weird.
We're seeing a lot of it.
I just ban it because I hate playing against it. If I was on the UK team, I'd be like, ban Warrior. Why? Just don't like it.
That's why you're not on the UK team, Raven.
There are other reasons why I'm not on the UK team. I'm valued much more as a caster. If I wasn't here casting BU, what would happen? It would be a mess, wouldn't it?
Would it?
Yeah. Whereas the UK...
Wouldn't I have it under control, Raven?
Probably not.
Probably not.
gonna be
There'd
honest
be
with you.
things running around.
I'm not gonna lie to you,
The background.
Probably not.
Stats all over the walls.
Yep.
Yeah,
It would just be like the Shining, and
yeah.
like writing everywhere. You just
All
be like,
work and no play makes Lorinda a dull boy.
Yep. And instead of that, even that phrase, it would just be like player stats written all over the wall.
3, 9, 7, 2, 2, 2.
Hunter Ace is good.
1, 4, 1, 5, 9, 2, 6, 5, 3, 5, 8, 9, 7, 9, 3, 2, 3, 8, 4, 7, 2, 6, 4, 3, 8, 3, 2, 7, 9.
Is that Tom's new name?
502, 8, 8, 4. That's Pie Monster
Oh,
for next year.
for next year. Warpath's going to clear this one up as we've been wittering on about nothing, to be completely honest.
We would
Build
do
the hero
that.
powers for the lethal and G to the G. Czech Republic even it up 2-2 versus Indonesia. They are not too happy by it, but Czech Republic are looking pretty good themselves. They're at 2-2. And last game to play now. What have we got right there? What's the last match?
Shaman, which I assume is of the Shudderwock variety. If I've written just down Shaman, that usually means it's Shudderwock.
Czech?
That's what I assume, yes.
It is.
Against the Warrior.
Guess what the Warrior is?
Whew, let's see. Dead Man's Odd Warrior.
It's just Quest Warrior.
Yeah, okay. We did have a Odd Warrior yesterday.
Yeah, I prefer Rush, Pirates, Aggro.
Only fools rush in, Raven. You should know this.
That's why I love the mechanics so much. We've only got one more game left of this series to see who's going to take it. Is Indonesia going to continue their stomp through global games, or is Czech Republic going to continue to be on form for as world champions should be? Find out after the break. Czech Republic and Indonesia are all even at 2-2. We're going to find out who's going to take it now as Lorinda and myself take you through the last game. It's going to be the Warrior versus the Shudderwock Shaman. What do you make of this matchup overall, Lorinda?
It's the same old thing we've said a few times now. We've seen this matchup quite a bit. It is a race to do your thing. And Shudderwock's thing is more coherent in terms of it can actually do more along the way.
Right.
Whereas the Warrior has one plan. It's put a taunt down, put another taunt down. Not really getting anywhere. It's not helping itself for later. Shudderwock has multiple things it can do. If it whiffs, it can go wide. It can do it again. If it just kills your life drinkers, then that's good as well.
Yep.
Feels to be like all of the ace in the Shudderwock's hand in this match.
Okay, interesting. I think that there are some issues that can come up for the Shudderwock. Like, if they don't get a great opening with, as you said, like not a lot to do sometimes, then the Warrior is actually quite consistent at doing its quest, right?
Yeah.
It has so many early taunts that then can turn into early taunts in the form of, say, Phantom Militia, Stonehill Defender, means that they can just pick the lowest cost. Once they start getting that hero power rolling, the Shudderwock doesn't really have a great way to counter it or play around it. They have to just still carry on doing their thing to try and win with the Shudderwocks. And we have seen it that with some pressure, there's not a lot of options that the Shaman can have, but let's go right into it. Double Cornered Sentry for Joth 703. And the Warpath. Yala, though, has the Shudderwock, has the Grumble, has the Chain Gang, and some card draw. Not looking too bad.
Not looking too bad at all. Another point to go along with what Warrior can do is minions are pretty hard to deal with. Like Volcano and Lightning Storm both rely on doing points of damage. Turns out that Warrior minions have lots of health. So that chip damage means maybe it buys them some time to only need to hit once or twice with the rag shots later.
Well, the second you need to hit one less time, that's a whole turn, and a whole turn against Shudderwock Shaman is a very, very long time. You do not want to give them that one extra turn to set up the Shudderwock a little bit better.
I mean, those cards in Shudderwock, the ones that don't win the game, are designed to
buy you
one more time.
Yep.
One more turn. One more time?
Both?
Yeah, sure. One more turn, one more time. Every turn until
Sometimes you don't need one more turn once.
Yeah. So if they deny it, like we're talking about there.
Yeah, and if you followed that, fair play, because I didn't.
Follow that. That's what I would say, not follow that.
I'm now really confused and lost. Let's go back to the game. Wild Pyromancer just being played as a 3-2. It's not really going to get too many benefits with the 1 damage to the board. As you said, the Warrior minions are either too big or the Warrior just doesn't really care about them. And you don't really want to Lightning Storm this. You don't really want to proc a Healing Rain. There's not things you would do against, say, base aggro that you would do in this matchup.
Both decks doing their thing pretty efficiently, though. The Shudderwock getting its stuff, and the Warrior...
Stonehill's been nerfed. It's literally just a 1-4. There we go. Booty Bay Bodyguard was the pick. Fortunately, we didn't see the choices.
Didn't see the bad picks.
I mean, something's going wrong if that's the pick. Also, as well, maybe actually it's just there could have been an option where, well, guess what? They can't play it next turn anyway, so there wasn't a full draw. They can Corner Sentry armor up. Next turn they go Booty Bay Bodyguard. So maybe it was just a curve choice. Like, would you pick a 9-mana taunt that's better than Booty Bay here? Probably not. Like, I think I would just pick whatever looked the best on curve.
And a 1-mana one might not be needed because you might have nothing to do on turn 5 anyway. Normally you pick the cheapest, but now they do have things to do on turn 5.
There is just the one Die-Horn Hatchling, which I believe is fairly standard.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they do play Blackwall Pixie, which is actually quite important. We talked about turns. That's 16 from hand.
What's
16 from hand.
A 3-mana 3/4 that does 16 damage. It's really good.
Seems
It's no mega card.
like one of the new cards, yeah.
What's
The Hunter version of
I wish.
Game 10.
Oh my.
3/4 Pyro.
Oh wait, no, 10 mana's way too late. Needs to be Hunter Omega. Turn 1, active. Let's go.
Turn 1, 10 damage, go. Finland losing it again.
Who took Finland?
Sorry?
Who took?
Belarus.
No, sorry. Who took Finland as a prediction? Did someone?
Yeah, Sottle.
Get wrecked.
I was going to, but
USA and Finland, eh?
he's having a bad day.
Not the prediction king anymore.
Glad I'm not his regular caster. He's going to take it on someone.
I just laugh. It's great.
What, to his face?
Oh, always.
You got that brave now?
I mean, this is the point we can't do any worse.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
I've pulled with this for years, learned I'm now immune. It's like when you try and make yourself immune to poison by injecting bits of it, you know, like over a long period of time.
I could do that.
People have done it before. I believe the last time I read about it was like venomous snakes. Someone was injecting like snake venom into, or certain types of snake venom into them slowly over time, and they become relatively, if not more or less,
That
immune.
sounds like it could go horribly wrong.
It nearly did for me and Sol, yeah. but we've got to the point now where I have a pretty strong resistance, so it's not too bad. But Stonehill's coming down. That's sort of ticking a small box off the mini quest that is Shudderwock Shaman. But a much more clear quest to follow is Indonesia. They actually have the Daihon hatched and they're going to proc it to 4. They still have a booty base to go to 5, so they need 2 more. If you can keep up with that crazy mathematics, I know it's not quite high.
I can't ever keep up with your mathematics, Raven.
I do
Way
like
too advanced for me.
I do like the extent in which you went to the either side of the spectrum in terms of mathematic discussion. First, you're like, well, you put a finger down, so it's 18, right?
That's
like,
how you teach people to do 9 times tables.
So you do that, and then we jump to pi to the, I don't know, what was it, about 10th, 12th decimal place?
45, 40, 50, something like that.
Right. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I'm just like, look.
But I thought you'd mastered the finger counting and we'd move on to circles and circumferences.
It's like a lesson for next week. So this Hammer. Sol talks a lot about his frustration with Hammer, being that sometimes you need the healing rain, sometimes you need Zola if you don't have it yet, sometimes you need this and that. It is probably better in this matchup because you can make that decision very clearly on, do they have their quest active? Yes, no, right. So can my Shudderwock just rush them down if I get quick enough? And a play like this shows you exactly what they want to do here. Getting the Grumble, so they can get 2 more Sirenites makes it extremely likely for the Shudderwock to be bounced if these 2 Sirenites are played first. And I think we might see the Hemet get played in this game just to say, you know what, let's get to these. I think they run 2 Life Drinkers. Let me double check. Do they run 2?
Let's have a look. But yeah, that way they can rush down. Yes, they do play 2. They can rush down the Shudderwock, is what you're saying.
Right, exactly, yes.
And it just, if you're gaining 6 a turn, even if it goes wrong once or twice, which it really shouldn't, then I say that.
Yeah. So at the moment, if they play 2 Sirenites, they have +1 Sirenite Battlecry from the expected setup, right?
Yeah.
Because there's still 1 in the deck, I believe. So they're still looking pretty good. But now they have to portion it out because now they have a lot of information. That huge pickup of the Phantom Militia means that the quest can be done next turn, not activated in terms of equipping the weapon that we can see, but the quest can be done and finished next turn. And Yala still has some way to go, actually. They have the cards, but they also don't really have the mana to get there.
And the removal's lacking a little bit as well. It's looking very difficult to really stop this getting out of control for the short term.
It is, yeah.
And the short term is what matters right now.
Hex and the Earth Shock going down to help deal with some of these taunts. It would be so funny if the Hex Frog just propped the quest right now. Ah, well, it's another taunt.
You and your frogs.
Hey, look, I can't help it.
I heard you talk about frogs the other night. And just destroyed me.
Destroyed me too, Marita, don't you worry. Blackwell Pixie is now drawn for Indonesia, though, which means that they also now not only have access to the quest, but have access to that double hero powered turn. And the best thing about it is you can choose to play that on a turn that there aren't any minions. So you can say, yes, this is not, you know, a 50-50 or, you know, a couple of 50-50s, a couple of 33s. It's just like, no, this is just 16 damage to face 100% of the time, and I make a 3-4.
Yeah, we used to talk about the turns where you force through with the brawls, etc.
Right.
An 8. If you force through a 16, have some.
It's crazy, yeah. It's actually, it could swing the matchup quite heavily.
And they've got here very quickly. Sneakily, while we've been talking about maths and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's it, right? And it's probably a bit deceiving how quickly Warrior can do its quest because it doesn't run a lot of card draw. And you're like, well, how does it get there?
No ramp, no card draw.
It gets there because singular cards in the deck act as 2 and 3 cards instead of 1.
Okay.
So the Stonehill and the Phantom Militia are card draw to a certain extent because it generates your win condition. So it's kind of deceptive if you look at the list. Like, well, what if you don't draw any taunts? It's like, well, every time you do draw a taunt, it's normally worth more than 1.
I think Czech Republic here, they'll never play Hagatha, right? They need to work out they're going to, but it doesn't look like they ever should need to. Obviously, that hand size is going to be big if they do. They need to work it out now before they actually go into that turn. Just make sure they're not going to.
It's kind of awkward, right? Because Saronite just feels fine. You want to play Saronite before you Shudder Walk, of course. That's a fairly basic step. But then, well, you have to play the Life Drinker too. But then all your other cards are just kind of clog up your hand because one, they're either too expensive, i.e. the Hermit, or well, Farsight draws you a card, it cycles itself, and yes, it's probably more playable because the 3 mana reduction, but it's just something to consider that you, as you mentioned, you can't just slam Hagatha. You have to think about what your game plan looks like.
Getting the maximum number of minions on the board as well in terms of playing around Sulfuras, or more specifically the hero power it generates.
Oh, they are going for the Acolyte. They just want this Zola, right? They want to buy time for the Zola.
If possible, yeah. They might not have that luxury for many turns, though. They're okay for now.
Yeah. Because the problem is, even with the multiple Saronites, it's still more likely, but the second that Grumble misses...
We've seen the chaos.
You lose at that point. It's against this deck, you just lose.
Because they just can't,
you're just dead. This turn is a little bit tricky though, only 8 mana, Brawl and Sulfuras is available, or even just a Brawl Slam, for example. There are multiple options here, but looks like Sulfuras is being hovered over first. Do you not want to Brawl this though in there? I'm looking at that Acolyte and being like, there's a reason they've played Acolyte with 6 cards in hand.
Yeah, they've emptied
right?
their hands
They
to a
need
certain
something.
side. Yeah. Yeah, you don't know what it is, but you know they need a thing.
So I guess they want to set up the Brawl Pixie. Well, they can't Brawl Pixie next turn.
No, they can't.
Okay.
But they can do it in 2 turns' time, and in the meantime, hit them in the face as much as possible.
To be honest, thinking about it now, leave the Acolyte up if they Volcano. Okay, that's like 2 turns.
Sure.
Because Volcano's 5 mana, and then the 2 Overload stops them playing Shudder Walk anyway.
Oh, they hit the face!
It's pretty big.
It's really big because they could win next turn. Just play the Pixie, hit them twice in the face, hit in the face with a weapon, done. That'd work.
It does.
It's a little bit unlikely.
Yeah, I'm like, it can happen. I'm not going to argue that one. Now this gets tricky.
I wonder.
Me too, Thrall.
He is wandering away. The game might be wandering away this way. No healing, no Zola. At some point, they might just have to go for it. And that is just every Shudder Walk player's nightmare.
It is, but the decision's hard for when you do this and when you feel you have to commit to it. But once you are pretty good, I don't think there are that many people who are very good at this deck overall.
No.
But once you are at that point, you can identify that fairly quickly and say, well, I've played this matchup 1,000 times. I cannot beat this unless I play Shudder Walk right now.
That buys some time. 8 health swing, pretty important. That's 1 whole extra turn like we were talking about earlier.
I wonder why they're not playing the Saronite, because that means they just can't play Shudder Walk next turn, right? You cannot bring yourself to play Shudder Walk before you played a 1-mana Saronite chain gang, surely.
Doesn't feel like that, does it?
No, we can see Brawl, of course.
Right.
But, it plays around Brawl. Well, you're not really playing Saronite to play around Brawl.
Well, you're
or
playing it to
not.
play around the hero power a little bit.
Right.
So if you're not expecting Shudder Walk next turn, and you're expecting Brawl to hurt you...
That Acolyte is immune. Blessed.
As wide as you can now, but...
That Acolyte is very unfulfilled in life. Acolyte of Pain. 0 damage
just never
taken.
takes any pain.
Unfulfilled life.
Maybe he'll like progress to be a teacher.
That's true.
He teach people how to take pain, but can't do it himself.
Be a bad teacher. Can you show us an example? No?
I mean, you've seen what my schooling was like, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
How can this go on? How long can this go on?
Getting very close to just dying to the Pixie.
Right, there's still wide board though, right?
Yeah. Well,
You like,
Warpath it away, hit them for 8, then get 2 goes to the Pixie next turn.
there's only so much refill, right?
Forgetting to draw healing has been a bad move here from the Czech Republic.
Mm-hmm.
I think next turn they just have to go for it. If this goes Warpath, 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 hit you. Mind you, they're going to get healing or something out of that, right?
I'm wondering whether the Blood Razor ever works out better? Because you can Blood Razor, which is 1 to everything, hit.
1 time
No, it
36,
doesn't,
you've got a 3.3
No,
or
no, no,
3.2% chance right now, just going bosh you, Pixie, bosh you again.
You're just not making that play the way, not when you've
Well, what you could do, I mean, you can definitely change it a little bit. If you know you're hero powering into an empty-ish board, just do it once, see what happens.
Yeah.
But you miss 8, obviously, when you clear it. It's not sensible.
So they're going for Blood Razor.
This is going to give so many cards to Czech Republic.
But so would Warpath, right?
Sure.
Now they're getting the double and then the guarantee. This is a different way to clear it. Save Warpath for next turn. Whew. I like it, Lorinda. I like it.
Still no healing.
This next draw has to be something big for Team Czech Republic, or they are just going to lose. It's a volcano.
Can the
This
what
plays
save
on
them?
Agatha too.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty big deal.
That's well worked.
So now you have to go wide as Czech Republic, which they can do with Silent Chain Gang, but we can see the Warpath. Just going to say a hard no to that plan.
You can just walk and hope.
You might have to. This is what I'm saying. Like, you have to learn when you just have to go for it, right? And this weapon changes everything. Cause
Taking a walk on the wild side. Let's see what happens.
Nice. So there's 3 healing. There's the weapon.
Get him out of range.
To 10.
Just everything broke.
Yeah, and look at the power of these Saranites. This might just be too much right now. The Saranites just making the Shudderwocks go so wide is also a huge problem. And no Hagfer means that the Shudderwocks aren't at 3 health, which makes a big impact as well.
And so it looks to me like it's
Hero power first, see if you need the Pixie. What is this game?
just people being terrified of things from both sides.
Oh.
Here comes. Oh, now you've got to go for it, surely. Findan's face.
You do, right? You can't beat this. You know there's a one-mana Shudderwock in hand.
Good luck, everyone.
They're not even lucky. Neither am I. Oh, they missed. And I'm pretty sure that's just going to be it. One, there's just a lot of power on the board for a start. There's no more mana to play the taunts that they're going to get from Stonehill. And they are fully aware that there is a one-mana Shudderwock got bounced. Healing Rain there, bit of a problem.
Hex, Lightning Storm, Life Drinker. Have they got enough mana? Yes. On top of the fact they've got a Shudderwock in hand.
But do they see it? They're in there. Of course they do. It's Czech Republic. What a nail-biter that last game was. Czech Republic going to clean it up. They look like they were under a ton of pressure in this series, going 0-2 down to Indonesia. But with the high fives, there were no bananas on the camera now, but it was enough. The Shudderwock's going to get it done. It would crack me up if there was some way the Shudderwock could have lost them the game instead of the life drink, and then, yeah, something bad would have happened. But no, Czech Republic continue to do well in the Hearthstone Global Games this season at 2-0 record after week 2, unbeaten, and quite rightly so as the current champions of Global Games. I will say though that Indonesia got very, very close.
And they've already beaten Norway, so we should be keeping an eye on their progress over the coming weeks to see just how many big teams they can upset.
Yeah. Was there any standout moments for you there, Lorinda, in terms of that, the matchup as a whole, not just that game?
Apart
but
from like just trying to recover
attack,
from
yeah.
what was just happening there. Not making Tyrantosaurus.
Tarantai. That just sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not making it X one of those, playing the faceless when they did in that Indonesia in that game 4. Was it 4 or 3? Anyway, a game they could have won to win the match. Felt like they just wasted the faceless when they could have put more damage into face. Yeah, that's probably the standout. It's a bad standout to pick because it's a negative, but felt like that could have been a different game.
Yeah, and it's one we could see there, you know, with our amazing cast division, we could see that it would have worked out pretty well, but we'll see anyway. Let's take a look how this matchup did go. I did just describe it as a 2-0 start. As we can see, Resident and Nexarch took those very quick wins for Indonesia, but then it all fell apart as Fairley, Findan, and Yala, as well as Bekrovac, of course, on comms, helped clean up this match with a reverse sweep.
Reverse sweep's always fun in anything, basically. In StarCraft, they're pretty exciting as well.
What if you sweep in the floor and then you do a reverse sweep that just puts the mess back?
Pretty exciting. You get told off.
You get excited by weird things, Lorinda.
I do.
Let's check out some of the highlights of the match. Just in case you forgot about what happened towards the beginning, at least. It was the Aggro Rogue versus the Priest, and guess what? Aggro Rogue did what it did with the Cold Bloods early on, pushing so much damage. There's 5 there. There's the 9. I'm so glad this clip was done very... Good job, production team. Well, there's the 9 as well going in, and it's just an absurd amount of damage. And at that point, it just wasn't enough. And a very, very similar story with this game.
Game 2 is just the same. Just hits you in the face until you have no health left, and 2-0 up in double quick time. Game 3, they wanted to do the same thing, but they were just never got rolling with this. They got fairly mediocre more rolls. Czech Republic had plenty of AoE early. They did have to battle a bit in the middle.
Yeah, there was that one point where Indonesia didn't necessarily have to push into like the 1 point of damage or 2 points of damage that would have led to the 7-7 being live in the form of the Hooked Reaver, but that's all in the past right now. And now we see the quite drawn-out Warrior versus Druid game, and Czech Republic did get the win with the Warrior, and I believe this was the game that probably had the most leeway for Indonesia to take the win.
Yes, it felt like a few things went wrong for the Czech Republic in terms of where shots went, and Indonesia didn't manage to capitalize on that. Like you say, there was a chance, you pointed out at the time, of making Tyrantus hit face for 12.
Right.
And then copying it and do it again.
And Malagos Druid is a deck where, yes, you can do insane damage, but that damage is also quite limited, especially in a class that gains a lot of armor. We see now, though, just the final moments of the game. It was a nice setup with the double Blood Raids, I'll be honest. I did like it. I did want to get that weapon working just because it's 2 damage and 4 damage over 2 turns anyway. But this was the moment that could have changed everything. The guys didn't even want to look. Press the button and hope, but it wasn't to be as it hit the first Shudder Walk on the board, and the return punch from Czech Republic called that one a day. I'm
enjoying Findan's reaction to this tournament. Like the other 3 wily old pros. Findan's been around a while himself, but
he's definitely, I would say, like the character on the team,
yes,
if that makes sense. And that's not by any means an insult to the other players, but he's the one who like visually reacts by far the most out of the players.
Like he was just laughing a couple of times there when he realised it might go wrong, and just presenting a bit of character, like you say to them. Just copied everything you said. Well done, me.
Good job. That's
if you want to be like Raven, just copy everything he does.
Yeah, seems to be okay, but we'll see if anyone can pull it off. No one has quite yet. I'm back now, and yeah, Czech Republic just 2-0 when they were crowned the winners last year. Although you could say, well, yes, of course, it's still quite unlikely that they go through based on just numbers, which is,
it's a different team as well.
Yeah, it's a different team, and also just it's Swiss. There's tons of matchups to be played, a lot of other powerful teams. So, you know, on paper, not necessarily super likely to get through, but, you know, in the actual games, they are not messing about right now as they go 2-0 up. But that's going to be this match finished. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back with the next match.